know that unexplained itching in certain spots could be your body's quiet warning about cancer? Most people brush off a little itch here and there, but for older adults, especially those over 60, itchiness in very specific areas might be more than just dry skin or irritation. It could be your body sending you a signal you can't afford to ignore. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 very specific itchy places on the body that could indicate cancer, sometimes months before any other symptom appears. These are not random itches. They're patterns doctors have seen again and again in patients who were later diagnosed with serious conditions like lymphoma, pancreatic cancer, and even breast or skin cancer. Stay with me through the end, because we're not just listing body parts. You'll learn the deeper reason behind each one, why these areas itch, what cancers they're linked to, and how to tell the difference between a passing skin issue and something more serious. You'll walk away knowing what to watch for, what questions to ask your doctor, and what action to take if one of these signs sounds familiar. And most importantly, this is not about panic. It's about paying attention. Because the earlier you notice these quiet signs, the better chance you have of catching something before it becomes harder to treat. Let's begin. Sign 1, persistent itching on the lower legs. When older adults start to experience a persistent itch on the lower legs, especially the shins and calves, with no rash, no dryness, and no new soap or lotion to blame, it might be easy to write it off as aging skin. But this very specific symptom has quietly shown up in many people, diagnosed with blood-related cancers, especially lymphoma. It's not the kind of itch that comes and goes. It lingers. It often gets worse at night, and it doesn't respond to lotion the way dry skin does. The reason this happens has to do with how cancers, like Hodgkin's lymphoma, affect the immune system. These cancers originate in the lymphatic system, a critical part of the body's defense and drainage network. As the cancer cells multiply, they release inflammatory chemicals into the bloodstream. And one of the most common side effects of these chemicals is a deep, almost burning itch that settles in the lower limbs. Even though the skin might look completely normal on the outside, the nerves underneath are being irritated from within. There's a man named George, 75, who shared his story during a routine cancer awareness event. He said his only symptom for nearly 6 months was an uncontrollable itch on the front of his legs. His doctor initially thought it was eczema, or maybe a reaction to detergent. But when blood tests showed abnormal white cell levels, and further scans revealed swollen lymph nodes in his chest, the diagnosis became clear. The itch came first, he said, long before anything else. This kind of story isn't rare. And while not every itchy leg means cancer, the key difference lies in how the skin responds or doesn't. If there's no rash, no new soap, no bug bites, and it's been going on for weeks, it's time to dig deeper, especially if it's paired with other quiet signs like night sweats, fatigue, or unexplained weight loss. For older adults, this kind of awareness becomes especially important. As we age, our bodies become less obvious in how they send distress signals. The pain might not come right away. The lumps may be too deep to feel, but the nerves still react. An itch, particularly deep, restless, unrelenting itch, is often how that reaction first shows up. If you or someone you care about has been scratching their legs every night, applying creams with no relief, and wondering why nothing's working, don't ignore it. Talk to a doctor. Ask about blood work. Mention the pattern, because sometimes the body whispers long before it shouts, and listening can make all the difference. Sign 2, itching between the shoulder blades or upper back. There's a specific kind of itch that shows up deep in the upper back, right between the shoulder blades, that's often ignored, or blamed on posture, dry air, or even an old shirt tag. But for many older adults, persistent itching in this exact area, especially when it feels like it's coming from under the skin, has been linked to pancreatic cancer. And the strange thing is, it often appears months before any noticeable pain or digestive symptoms do. The connection might seem odd at first. How could an internal organ like the pancreas cause itchiness way up on the back? But here's how it works when pancreatic tumors begin to grow. They can obstruct the bile ducts, those small tubes that help drain bile from the liver into the intestines. When this drainage slows or stops, bile, salts start to accumulate in the bloodstream. And one of the first things those excess bile salts do is irritate nerve endings, often in areas like the back, where the body stores a dense network of sensory nerves. I remember a woman named Linda, 70, who told me she had what she called a phantom itch on her upper back. She'd wake up scratching it every night. Nothing helped. Lotions, back scratchers, even changing her mattress. She said it felt like it was coming from the inside. When she went in for blood work for unrelated fatigue, Her liver enzymes came back elevated. That led to imaging scans. And eventually they found a small tumor in her pancreas, pressing on the bile duct. The scary part? That itch was her only real symptom. No pain, no yellowing skin, just a deep nagging sensation she couldn't shake. And the only reason she caught it early was because she spoke up, even when it felt like a small complaint. This is why that specific area matters. General back itchiness can come from dryness, pressure, or friction. But if the itch is focused, unrelenting, and doesn't improve with skin treatments, especially if you also notice darker urine, pale stools, or fatigue, it may be a deeper sign of something happening internally. The back becomes the messenger, even when the problem is in the gut. For older adults, these kinds of subtle symptoms are easy to dismiss. We don't always want to sound dramatic, but your body is wiser than you think. And when it sends you the same signal again and again, it's worth listening, even if it's just an itch. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Sign 3, itchy scalp without visible flakes or dandruff. An itchy scalp might not sound like a big deal. In fact, for many older adults, it's easy to chalk up to dry hair, aging skin, or a shampoo that doesn't quite agree. But when the itching becomes persistent, especially when there's no dandruff, redness, or flaking, it can sometimes be an early sign of something deeper happening beneath the surface, including blood-related cancers like leukemia or skin cancers affecting the scalp. What makes this itch different is that it tends to feel more like a tingling, crawling, or burning sensation than just dryness. It may move around from one spot to another, and it often doesn't respond to typical treatments like anti-dandruff shampoos or moisturizing scalp oils. For people over 60, these kinds of sensations can indicate nerve irritation triggered by abnormal immune activity, something that occurs when leukemia cells begin to multiply in the blood and affect how the body regulates inflammation. There was a man named Henry, 73, who mentioned that his scalp had started itching every afternoon. He tried changing hair products, then thought maybe his hat was the issue. But even after switching shampoos and going hat-free, the itch remained. When he eventually got a full blood panel done for unrelated fatigue, doctors found abnormally high white blood cell counts. A bone marrow biopsy confirmed early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia. His scalp had been the first and only part of his body alerting him. What makes this especially important is that many older adults already experience some level of dryness or skin sensitivity. So when something like an itchy scalp starts to feel just normal, it gets ignored. But what sets cancer-related itch apart is how resistant it is. No cream helps, no product soothes it. It lingers, nags, and often feels disconnected from any surface problem. And while leukemia isn't the only concern, skin cancers that develop on the scalp, especially in areas with thinning, hair can begin as nothing more than a small, itchy patch. Sometimes it looks like dry skin or a small bump. But if it keeps itching, especially in the same place, and doesn't go away, it should be looked at under proper light by a dermatologist. Because the scalp isn't always easy to examine on your own, it's helpful to ask a spouse, caregiver, or hairdresser to check the area regularly. If you feel an itch that hasn't budged in weeks, and it's not responding to anything you try, that's your sign to dig a little deeper. Especially if you've also been feeling more tired than usual, more bruised, or just off in a way you can't explain. It might feel like a small thing, but sometimes it's the small, stubborn things that tell the biggest story. Sign 4, localized itching on the chest or breast area. When older adults, especially women, but also men, notice persistent itching on the chest or breast area, particularly around the nipple or just beneath the breast, it can be easy to attribute it to sweat, a snug shirt, or even age-related skin thinning. But this specific area is one of the most overlooked spots where itching may signal something far more serious: inflammatory breast cancer or other underlying tumors near the chest wall. What makes this sign unique is that it often shows up before any lump does. The skin might feel warm, irritated, or tight. Sometimes there's a change in texture, slightly rough, thicker than normal, or with a reddish tint. But just as often, there's nothing to see, only a deep, persistent itch that never seems to go away, no matter what cream or lotion is applied. I recall the story of Ruth, 69, who noticed an odd itching sensation around her right breast. She tried switching bras. She tried different detergents. She even went without a bra for a while, thinking it was friction. But the itching continued, same spot every day. When she finally went in for a checkup, her doctor noted slight skin dimpling and ordered further tests. What they found was a small but aggressive tumor growing close to the skin surface, without the typical round lump most people expect. This is one of the reasons inflammatory breast cancer can be so dangerous. It doesn't always follow the rules. It can mimic a skin rash. It can spread quickly. And the earliest symptom is often not pain but irritation. That's why paying attention to itching that doesn't move around, doesn't ease with moisturizers, and is focused in the same place day after day is so crucial, especially in the breast or chest area. For men, this can be even easier to miss. Male breast cancer is rare, but it does happen and often goes undetected because the signs don't match what most men think to look for. An itchy patch near the nipple, a small area of thickened skin, or a persistent twinge of discomfort under the chest muscle might not sound dramatic, but for someone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, it deserves a closer look. And there's more. This kind of itch isn't always about cancer growing in the breast itself. It can also be caused by enlarged lymph nodes under the arms or just below the collarbone, signaling lymphoma or another nearby malignancy. So if the itch is accompanied by swelling, warmth, or even just a vague sense of heaviness in the area, don't wait. Early detection doesn't start with fancy machines. It starts with awareness, with listening, with noticing the quiet patterns that seem out of place. Because your skin can't speak, but it can signal. And this is one of the most important signals not to ignore. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Sign 5, persistent itching in the anal or genital area. There are few things more uncomfortable and more often ignored than itching in the anal or genital region. It's an awkward subject, especially for older adults, and many people would rather brush it off than bring it up. But when this type of itching becomes chronic, with no obvious cause like hygiene, infection, or irritation, it may be trying to draw your attention to something far more serious. In some cases, persistent itch in this area can be a quiet early symptom of anal, vulvar, or even penile cancer. What makes this kind of itch dangerous is that it often disguises itself as something minor. People assume it's just dry skin, a reaction to toilet paper, a bit of friction from walking, or even a side effect of incontinence pads. And in many cases it is. But when it lingers for weeks or months, when it returns, no matter how much you clean, treat, or moisturize, and when it begins to feel more raw or burning than surface level, it deserves a closer look. There was a man named Eugene, 76, who had been dealing with what he thought was hemorrhoid irritation for almost a year. He used creams, changed his diet, even tried cold compresses, but the itching never fully went away. Eventually, a colorectal specialist ran a scope exam and found a small lesion on the anal canal wall. It turned out to be an early-stage tumor, something that would have continued growing silently had he not followed his gut instinct that something just didn't feel right. The same holds true for women. Vulvar cancer is relatively rare, but becomes more common after age 60. And one of its earliest signs? A recurring itch on or near the outer genital area. There may not be a lump, but the skin might begin to feel rougher, slightly discolored, or thinner than usual. Many older women assume it's hormonal or related to postmenopausal dryness, and sometimes it is. But if the itching is relentless, if it worsens at night, and if it doesn't respond to normal treatments, don't dismiss it. This part of the body is full of nerve endings. It's highly sensitive. And because of that, it often signals internal changes before more visible symptoms emerge. Whether it's a change in skin cells, nerve inflammation, or swelling in nearby lymph nodes, chronic itching in this region, especially when it's only on one side or focused in one small spot, can be a red flag. And yet most people hesitate to say anything. They fear embarrassment, or they worry they're overreacting. But silence is far more dangerous than curiosity. Speaking up about an itch might just lead to early detection, better outcomes, and peace of mind. The most important takeaway? If the itch doesn't go away, don't assume it's normal. Let a healthcare provider take a look. Because catching something early, even something as serious as cancer, often starts with noticing something small, something subtle, and choosing not to ignore it. Final thoughts. As we close out this video, I want to leave you with one simple truth your body is always communicating. Sometimes it speaks through pain, other times through fatigue, but often it begins with something so small, so subtle, that we overlook it, like a persistent itch that keeps returning to the same place. The 5 areas we talked about today, the lower legs, the upper back, the scalp, the chest, and the genital region, aren't just random spots. They're places where serious internal issues, including certain cancers, often begin to send their first quiet signals. And for older adults, learning to listen to those signals could mean the difference between catching something early and letting it silently grow. You don't need to live in fear. That's not the point of this video. The point is to empower you, to remind you that your instincts matter, and that what seems like a small symptom may be your body asking for help. If any of these signs felt familiar, don't brush them off. Bring them to your doctor. Start a conversation, because you deserve answers and you deserve peace of mind. Thank you. Did you know that eating certain foods for breakfast after 60 could quietly harm your health? Breakfast is often called the most important meal of the day, but for seniors, it can also be one of the most dangerous if you're eating the wrong things. In this video, we're going to uncover 6 popular breakfast foods that many older adults still eat every day without realizing how much they're draining their energy, stressing their organs, or even raising their risk of chronic disease. These aren't rare or exotic foods. In fact, they're often labeled as healthy, light, or classic by the brands that sell them. But what they really do inside the body, especially the older body, is far from harmless. Stay tuned through the end, because we're not just telling you what to avoid. You'll learn why these foods are particularly harmful after 60, what they do to your heart, brain, and digestion, and how to make better swaps that still taste good and keep you feeling full and steady throughout the morning. Whether you're 60, 70, or pushing 80, the food you choose at the start of your day has a ripple effect. It can give you energy or take it away. It can help your memory or make you foggy by lunchtime. And it can support your blood pressure or spike it before you even leave the kitchen table. Let's get into the 6 common breakfast foods that older adults should rethink starting today. Number 1, sugary cereals and breakfast granolas. One of the most common breakfast habits among older adults is pouring a quick bowl of cereal, especially those labeled whole grain, lightly sweetened, or heart healthy. But what most people don't realize is that many of these cereals are loaded with added sugars and processed carbs that can quietly wreak havoc on an aging body. The problem isn't just the sugar you see on the label, it's also the type of carbohydrates that break down into sugar within minutes of eating. When you start your morning with a high glycemic cereal, your blood sugar spikes quickly. And while that might give you a temporary lift, it's almost always followed by a crash, leaving you tired, shaky, irritable, or craving more carbs by mid-morning. There's a man named Harold, 71, who used to eat a bowl of Raisin Bran every morning. He chose it because it sounded healthy. But despite taking his medications and walking regularly, his A1C kept creeping up. His doctor suggested removing processed cereals for 1 month just to see what happened. Harold switched to steel-cut oats with cinnamon and a handful of walnuts. Not only did his blood sugar stabilize, but he also said he felt more alert and steady all day. It wasn't about eating less, it was about eating smarter. Another hidden danger in many cereals and granolas is the presence of added preservatives, artificial flavors, and sometimes even hydrogenated oils to improve crunch or shelf life. These ingredients increase inflammation, something most older adults are already battling quietly through arthritis, blood pressure, or memory concerns. Even granolas that look natural can be misleading. Many are baked with syrups and honey blends that create clusters, but also deliver more sugar than a donut. A small handful might be fine, but most people pour a bowl, top it with fruit or sweetened yogurt, and unknowingly start the day with 40 grams of sugar before they've even gotten dressed. What makes this issue more serious in older adults is how the metabolism changes. After 60, insulin resistance often increases and digestion slows. The body becomes less efficient at handling sugar, and the pancreas has to work harder to keep blood glucose in check. That's why something that seemed fine in your 40s can suddenly feel like a weight, dragging your energy down in your 70s. The fix doesn't mean giving up breakfast, it means shifting what's in your bowl. Unsweetened oats, plain yogurt with berries, boiled eggs with whole grain toast, or even savory options like avocado can keep you full and fueled without sending your blood sugar on a roller coaster. Because the way you start your morning doesn't just shape your next few hours, it shapes your long-term health, energy, and independence. And if you've been feeling more tired lately, despite sleeping well, or you crash after breakfast without knowing why, your cereal box might be the first place to look. Number 2, processed breakfast meats like bacon and sausage. Bacon, sausage, and ham are staples on many breakfast plates across America, and for good reason. They smell great, taste even better, and have been part of traditional breakfast for generations. But for seniors between 60 and 80, starting the day with processed meats can quietly take a toll on the heart, blood vessels, and overall longevity in ways that often go unnoticed until it's too late. These meats are packed with saturated fat and sodium, two things that put added stress on the cardiovascular system, especially as we age. Saturated fats can raise LDL cholesterol, the type that clogs arteries and increases the risk of heart attack or stroke. Meanwhile, the sodium content in just 2 strips of bacon or 1 sausage patty can be enough to spike your blood pressure for the entire morning. And that doesn't even account for the preservatives. Most of these meats are cured with nitrates or nitrites compounds, used to preserve color and shelf life. But once digested, those compounds can form substances called nitrosamines, which have been linked to inflammation, insulin resistance, and an increased risk of certain cancers. For older adults who may already have a sensitive digestive tract, weaker kidneys, or a family history of heart disease, this kind of chemical exposure becomes especially risky. There's a woman named Eileen, 74, who used to enjoy a sausage and egg sandwich every morning. She thought it was giving her protein to start the day, but over time she began noticing swelling in her ankles, and her doctor mentioned that her blood pressure had crept into the danger zone. Once she reduced her sodium and began replacing sausage with avocado and hard-boiled eggs, the swelling eased and so did her numbers. The issue isn't just about fat, it's about how the body processes food differently after 60. The kidneys become less efficient at filtering out excess salt. Blood vessels become more sensitive to cholesterol buildup, and the metabolism slows, meaning those dense, greasy foods sit longer in the digestive system, making you feel heavier, more tired, and sometimes even foggy by midday. And for many, these foods don't just appear once a week, they're daily habits. A few strips of bacon here, a breakfast sandwich there, sausage with pancakes at the diner, it adds up. The problem isn't having them once in a while. It's that the routine feels normal, even though the body is struggling behind the scenes to recover from the daily load. A better option? Try lean protein swaps like grilled turkey slices, plant-based breakfast patties, or eggs paired with fiber-rich veggies. Even something as simple as a slice of whole grain toast with almond butter offers more lasting fuel than processed meat ever could. Because when you're older, your breakfast isn't just a meal, it's medicine. It either helps your body recover and stay strong, or it makes your system work harder than it needs to. And when you start making small changes, even one food at a time, you begin giving your body the support it's been asking for all along. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, white bread and refined pastries. White toast, pancakes, bagels, and those tempting muffins at the coffee shop might seem like harmless breakfast choices, especially when paired with coffee and a little jam. But if you're between 60 and 80, these refined carbs are quietly working against your energy, your digestion, and your long-term blood sugar stability. What makes white bread and pastries so risky isn't just the flour, it's how fast it turns into sugar. These foods are made with highly processed white flour, which has been stripped of fiber, nutrients, and the natural bran that slows digestion. The result? When you eat them, your blood sugar spikes almost immediately, triggering a release of insulin that often overshoots, leaving you feeling tired, irritable, or hungry again soon after. And that roller coaster effect isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Over time, repeated spikes and crashes can wear down the body's ability to regulate insulin. For older adults, that means increased risk of prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or worsening glucose control for those who already have it. All from what seemed like a light breakfast. I knew a man named Carl, 68, who loved starting his mornings with a toasted English muffin and jelly. It was his habit for years. But despite watching his calories and walking daily, his weight wouldn't budge, and his afternoon crashes were getting worse. Once he swapped his morning muffin for a slice of sprouted grain, toast with a little almond butter and half a banana, things changed. He said he finally felt steady, from breakfast until lunch for the first time in years. Another hidden problem with pastries? They're often baked with trans fats, even if the label says 0 grams. That's because regulations allow for small amounts to be rounded down. These fats linger in the bloodstream, raise bad cholesterol, and increase inflammation, especially in older arteries and joints that are already sensitive with age. And even for those who think, I just have a little, the impact can build. A biscuit at breakfast, a Danish from the senior center, a few bites of leftover toast. It might not feel like much, but over time, these small daily choices can influence how you feel, how steady your energy is, and how well your brain and heart function day to day. Better swaps aren't about denying yourself, they're about fueling yourself better. Choose whole grain or sprouted bread that actually has fiber. Top it with something that gives you healthy fat and protein, like natural peanut butter, cottage cheese, or a poached egg. Or go savory with tomato slices, avocado, or hummus. These options digest more slowly, keep your blood sugar even, and help you feel clear, not cloudy. Because breakfast isn't just about getting full, it's about setting the tone. And when you feed your body what it truly needs, it pays you back in energy, clarity, and resilience throughout the day. Number 4, flavored yogurts with hidden sugars. Yogurt often gets a health halo, especially the flavored kind that claims to support digestion, boost protein, or offer a light start to the day. But for seniors trying to eat smarter, most of these products are not as harmless as they seem. In fact, starting your morning with sweetened yogurt can quietly undermine your energy, your gut health, and your efforts to manage weight or blood sugar. What many people don't realize is that even small containers of flavored yogurt often contain more sugar than a slice of cake. Some have upwards of 20 grams in a single serving, and that's before adding any fruit or granola. That sugar spike doesn't just flood your bloodstream. It forces your body to work harder to bring levels back down, which can leave you feeling tired or hungry just an hour or two later. And it's not just table sugar. Many of these yogurts use fruit syrups, concentrated juices, or artificial sweeteners that confuse the gut. For older adults, the digestive system is more sensitive than it used to be. The balance of bacteria in the gut, what we now know as the microbiome, plays a big role in everything from mood to immunity. And when that balance is thrown off by too much sugar, the effects ripple out. There's a woman named Joyce, 72, who told me she'd been eating strawberry yogurt with granola every morning for 5 years. It felt like a healthy choice, but she was constantly bloated and her knees always felt inflamed. Her doctor suggested switching to plain Greek yogurt with cinnamon and fresh blueberries. Within a few weeks, the bloating eased, and she said her mornings felt lighter, calmer, and more stable. Another issue with many store-bought yogurts is the use of thickeners and stabilizers, like carrageenan or modified cornstarch. These are added to create that creamy texture, but they don't support your health. In fact, they can irritate the gut lining in some people and reduce the absorption of nutrients, something seniors can't afford to lose. And even when yogurt is labeled low-fat or light, it often just means more sugar has been added to make up for lost flavor. This trade-off might look good on the calorie count, but inside your body, it causes stress that lingers far beyond breakfast. If you enjoy yogurt, you don't need to give it up. You just need to take control of what's in it. Choose plain Greek or unsweetened yogurt and add your own fruit, nuts, or a drizzle of honey if needed. That way, you're feeding your body probiotics, protein, and nutrients without the sugar spike or chemical overload. Because the right kind of breakfast doesn't just fill your stomach, it builds your foundation. And when you start your day nourishing your gut and brain instead of stressing them, you feel the difference, not just in your energy, but in your clarity, mood, and peace of mind. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, fruit juices that seem healthy but spike blood sugar. For decades, fruit juice has been seen as a healthy breakfast choice, especially orange juice. It's bright, refreshing, and loaded with vitamin C. But for older adults, that glass of juice can quietly behave more like soda than fruit and set off a chain of effects that strain the body instead of helping it. The biggest issue is how juice strips away fiber. When you eat an orange, the fiber in the pulp slows down how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream. But when you drink orange juice, even the 100% kind, you're getting all the sugar with none of the fiber. That leads to a sharp spike in blood glucose, something that's especially risky after 60 when insulin sensitivity starts to decline. There's also the volume problem. You'd never sit down and eat 4 oranges in one go, but that's about how many it takes to make a single cup of juice. That means more sugar, more calories, and more work for your pancreas to keep things stable. For someone already dealing with borderline blood sugar or managing diabetes, this daily habit, though well-intentioned, can quietly push numbers in the wrong direction. I once spoke to a man named Walter, 75, who started each day with a large glass of apple juice. He thought it was better than coffee. But after some lightheaded spells in the morning and rising A1C levels, his nutritionist asked him to cut juice for a month and replace it with whole fruit and water. Within 3 weeks, his energy evened out, and his doctor noticed better glucose readings. And while orange juice gets most of the attention, other juices like cranberry, apple, and grape are often worse. They contain even more sugar, and many brands add sweeteners on top of what's already there. Some light or reduced sugar juices sneak in artificial additives that don't support gut health or digestion, especially for those with sensitive stomachs or slow-moving bowels. What's important to understand is that fruit itself isn't the problem, it's the processing. When you blend, strain, or concentrate fruit into a liquid, you change how the body responds. You remove the natural checks and balances that protect your energy, your insulin levels, and even your hunger cues. And for seniors trying to stay sharp, steady, and well-hydrated, that matters. The better option? Stick to water, herbal teas, or infused water with lemon, cucumber, or berries for flavor. If you enjoy fruit, eat it whole. A small apple or a few orange slices give you the sweetness you crave, with fiber that keeps you satisfied longer and protects your blood sugar from spiking. Because the goal isn't to remove sweetness from your life, it's to enjoy it in ways that support your body, not surprise it. And starting your day with stable energy is one of the best gifts you can give yourself, especially as you age with strength, not struggle. Number 6, butter-heavy or fried breakfast items. For many people in their 60s, 70s, or beyond, breakfast isn't really breakfast without something warm, crispy, or comforting, like buttered toast, fried eggs, or even a side of hash browns from the skillet. And while these meals can feel satisfying in the moment, the way they're prepared, especially when loaded with butter, oil, or frying fat, can quietly weigh down your body in ways that last long past breakfast. As we age, digestion naturally slows. The stomach produces less acid, the gallbladder becomes less efficient, and the metabolism doesn't process fats the way it once did. That means a meal heavy in saturated fats like buttery biscuits, fried potatoes, or eggs swimming in oil takes longer to digest, causes more strain on the liver, and often leads to a sluggish, heavy feeling that lasts for hours. There's a man named Leonard, 76, who loved making a classic Southern breakfast eggs fried in butter, white toast, and hash browns. It was his routine for decades, but he started noticing that after breakfast, he'd feel foggy, tired, and slightly nauseous. His doctor suggested keeping the eggs but switching the preparation, using a nonstick pan, skipping the butter, and pairing it with greens and whole grain toast instead. Within a few weeks, Leonard said mornings felt lighter, and he no longer needed a nap before lunch. The issue with frying isn't just about fat. When oils are heated to high temperatures, especially reused or unstable ones, they break down into compounds that increase inflammation in the body. For older adults already dealing with arthritis, joint pain, or cardiovascular concerns, this can quietly add fuel to the fire, literally. And while butter isn't inherently evil, it's often overused. One pat becomes two. A bit on toast becomes a base for the pan. And when combined with other high-fat items, cheese, bacon, creamy sauces, it becomes a load that the body wasn't built to handle daily, especially in the morning when the body's trying to wake up and stabilize. It's not about cutting out warm or savory breakfasts, it's about lightening them. Eggs can be poached or soft-boiled. Toast can be brushed with olive oil instead of butter. Potatoes can be roasted with herbs instead of fried in grease. These small changes preserve the flavor while dramatically reducing the inflammatory burden. Because the food you eat at sunrise doesn't just set the tone for the day, it sends a message to your heart, your brain, and your gut. That message can either be, I'm going to take care of you, or you're on your own. And for those of us who want to stay independent, strong, and mentally sharp well into our later years, choosing the lighter path in the morning may just keep everything else working a little smoother. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Final thoughts. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to take a moment and think about what's really happening each morning. Not just what's on your plate, but how that plate makes you feel afterward. Do you feel steady, alert, and clear-headed? Or do you feel bloated, tired, or ready to sit down again before the day has even started? The truth is, breakfast can either be a quiet gift to your body or a burden. And after 60, your body's not just asking for food. It's asking for help. Help to keep blood sugar steady. Help to reduce inflammation. Help to stay energized, focused, and mobile. The foods we covered today might be popular, convenient, or even feel nostalgic, but that doesn't mean they're still right for the body you have now. Whether it's sugary cereals, salty meats, white bread, sweetened yogurt, fruit juices, or heavy butter-fried items, they all share one thing in common: they take more than they give. They spike you, crash you, weigh you down, and make your body work harder than it needs to. And when your body's already carried you through 6, 7, or even 8 decades, it deserves something better. Start small. Swap the juice for water and fruit. Choose eggs with greens instead of sausage. Try whole grains over white bread. These changes may seem simple, but their effect compounds day by day, meal by meal. Not to restrict you, but to support you. Not to take joy away, but to bring it back through clarity, comfort, and control. Because aging well isn't about what you lose, it's about what you keep. And the right breakfast doesn't just feed your hunger, it feeds your future. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.